Have you ever wondered how a tiny bird can fly thousands of miles across oceans and continents, only to return to the exact same tree it left months ago? It's one of nature's most mind-blowing mysteries, and the answer is even more incredible than you might think. Birds are nature's ultimate navigators, using not just one, but multiple sophisticated guidance systems that would make modern GPS look primitive. Some birds can sense the Earth's magnetic field, others navigate by the stars, and some even use their sense of smell to find their way home. Let's dive into the fascinating world of avian navigation and discover how these feathered travelers accomplish what seems utterly impossible. First, let's talk about the magnetic sense. Deep inside a bird's brain, there are tiny crystals of a mineral called magnetite. These microscopic crystals act like miniature compass needles, allowing birds to detect the Earth's magnetic field. It's like having a built-in compass that never needs batteries. But here's where it gets really wild. Scientists have discovered that birds don't just sense the direction of magnetic north. They can actually see magnetic fields as patterns of light and dark through their eyes. Imagine seeing invisible force fields overlaid on the world around you. That's essentially what birds experience. This magnetic vision happens thanks to special proteins in the retina called cryptochromes. When light hits these proteins, they trigger quantum reactions that are sensitive to magnetic fields. Yes, you heard that right. Birds literally use quantum physics to navigate. It's cutting-edge science happening inside the eye of a sparrow. This magnetic sense is so precise that birds can detect variations in the Earth's magnetic field caused by underground rock formations, essentially reading a magnetic map of the landscape below them. Some researchers believe birds can even sense the angle at which magnetic field lines intersect the Earth's surface, giving them information about latitude. This would explain how birds migrating along north-south routes can tell exactly when they've reached their destination latitude, even if they've been blown off course east or west. But the magnetic sense is just one tool in the bird's navigation toolkit. Many species, especially those that migrate at night, are expert astronomers. Birds like the indigo bunting learn the pattern of stars during their first autumn and use this celestial map for the rest of their lives. They don't just look for the North Star, they recognize entire constellations and how they rotate throughout the night. Young birds learn this by watching the sky while they're still in the nest, memorizing the patterns they'll need for their journey. Experiments in planetariums have shown that if you alter the rotation of the artificial night sky, birds will adjust their migratory direction accordingly, proving they're truly reading the stars and not just following an instinct. Daytime migrators use the sun as their primary compass, but here's the clever part. Birds can compensate for the sun's movement across the sky throughout the day. They have an internal biological clock that adjusts their sun-based navigation hour by hour. If you artificially shift a bird's internal clock in an experiment, it will fly in the wrong direction by a predictable amount. This proves that birds are performing complex mental calculations, essentially doing trigonometry in their heads to stay on course. Think about that for a moment. While flying at high speeds, navigating wind currents, and avoiding predators, a bird's brain is simultaneously calculating the sun's position, adjusting for time of day, and maintaining a precise heading. It's computational power that would require sophisticated programming if we tried to replicate it in a robot. Now let's talk about something really surprising. Smell. For years, scientists didn't think birds used odor for navigation, but recent research has turned that assumption upside down. Pigeons, in particular, have been shown to create mental smell maps of their home territory. Different areas have different combinations of odors from plants, soil, and even human activity. By memorizing this odor landscape, pigeons can use their nose to find their way home even when other cues are blocked. In clever experiments, researchers have temporarily disabled pigeons' sense of smell and watched them struggle to navigate home, only to succeed when their olfactory abilities were restored. Seabirds take olfactory navigation to another level. Albatrosses and petrels can smell their way across vast stretches of ocean by detecting odors carried on the wind from islands hundreds of miles away. They're essentially following invisible scent highways across the open sea. Some researchers believe these birds can even smell the presence of phytoplankton blooms, which attract fish, helping them locate food in the middle of the ocean. The ocean might look featureless to us, but to a seabird, it's a landscape rich with odor gradients and chemical signals that provide detailed navigational information. But birds don't just rely on these exotic senses. They're also masters of visual landmarks. Many species memorize distinctive features of the landscape, like coastlines, rivers, mountain ranges, and even human structures. Crows and pigeons are particularly good at this, capable of remembering specific buildings, intersections, and trees along their regular routes. In experiments where familiar landmarks were moved or removed, birds showed confusion and had to recalibrate their navigation using other methods. Urban pigeons have been observed following the same routes through city streets day after day, making the same turns at the same intersections as reliably as a bus following its scheduled route. What's truly remarkable is how birds combine all these navigation systems simultaneously. It's not that they use magnetism or stars or landmarks. They use all of them together, creating redundancy in case one system fails. If the sky is cloudy and they can't see the stars, they fall back on their magnetic sense. If they're flying over unfamiliar territory without landmarks, they rely more heavily on celestial cues. This multi-layered approach makes avian navigation incredibly robust. It's similar to how modern aircraft use multiple independent navigation systems, but birds evolved this redundancy millions of years before humans invented the first compass. Scientists have discovered that different parts of a bird's brain handle different navigation tasks. There's actually a specialized brain region called the hippocampus that stores spatial memories and landmark information. In migrating birds, this region grows larger before migration season and shrinks afterward, showing how the brain physically adapts to navigation demands. Meanwhile, the magnetic sense is processed in other brain regions, and the integration of all these signals happens in yet another area. It's a whole neural network dedicated to finding the way home. The brain of a migrating warbler, weighing less than a gram, contains more specialized navigation hardware than most ships or aircraft. Young birds face a special challenge. Unlike mammals that can learn migration routes from their parents, many bird species migrate alone for the first time, with no adults to guide them. These juvenile birds are born with an inherited magnetic map and instinctive directions. They know to fly south in autumn and how long to keep flying, all programmed into their DNA. It's like being born with a preloaded GPS route. But they also fine-tune their navigation through experience, learning landmarks and star patterns during their first journey that they'll use for the rest of their lives. Cuckoos are perhaps the most extreme example. Raised by foster parents of different species, they receive no guidance whatsoever, yet still find their way to the correct wintering grounds thousands of miles away on their very first attempt. The precision of bird navigation is staggering. Some species return not just to the same area, but to the exact same nesting site year after year. Arctic terns hold the record for the longest migration, traveling from Arctic to Antarctic and back, covering about 44,000 miles annually. That's almost twice around the Earth's equator. And they do it with pinpoint accuracy, returning to the same rocky shores where they were born. Bar-tailed godwits make non-stop flights from Alaska to New Zealand, covering over 7,000 miles without landing, resting, or eating. During this week-long flight, they're navigating continuously, adjusting their course for winds, maintaining their heading over featureless ocean, and calculating their energy reserves to ensure they arrive safely. But modern challenges are interfering with these ancient navigation systems. Light pollution from cities can confuse birds that navigate by stars, causing them to circle illuminated buildings until they're exhausted. Radio signals and electromagnetic interference from power lines may disrupt their magnetic sense, potentially explaining why some birds seem disoriented near urban areas. Climate change is shifting the timing of seasons, causing mismatches between when birds arrive and when food is available. These disruptions show us just how finely tuned bird navigation really is, and how vulnerable it can be to human-caused changes. Buildings with reflective glass cause millions of bird deaths each year during migration, as birds mistake reflections of sky and trees for actual flight paths. So the next time you see a bird in your backyard, remember you're looking at a creature with superpowers we're only beginning to understand. That sparrow can see magnetic fields through quantum physics, that goose can navigate by stars it learned as a chick, and that pigeon might be smelling its way through a landscape of odors invisible to us. Birds are living proof that nature's solutions are often far more sophisticated than anything we've invented. The question isn't just how birds find their way home, it's how they became such masters of navigation in the first place. And that's a story millions of years in the making, refined by evolution into one of the most impressive feats in the animal kingdom.